Let's move on to Draper. He drilled a lot of really good players. Like Sophie's into him. No?
Can confirm.
Can't
And I'm
confirm.
into him.
No, I was
I'm
like,
he's very talented.
no, I was like RPMs on the. I was like,
He's like a
RPMs
really
on the forehand.
good player.
Composure. Yeah.
I think he just won.
Yeah.
Is his forehand better than Berrettini's for you?
Oh. Well.
His forehand. Is his forehand better than Berrettini's? I don't know. I know they were both at
Sorry.
the match.
No. Repeat the question a couple more times while you think of your answer. Go ahead. Just keep repeating it while you think. While you
It
get
just
some
kind of
time.
no. My point was that it sounded kind of like an innuendo. I wasn't trying
Only
to think
to
of an
you.
answer. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Jeez.
No, Mike.
Sorry.
I thought you were like for a second she was visualizing both
His
forehands,
forehand?
trying to like read which ones. No. You're
What
not,
does
you're
this
not
show
there
become?
yet. You're not there
Right.
yet.
Yeah, he was the runner-up of my hottie bracket.
Oh, sorry. So there was the innuendo would have been well placed.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Who was the runner-up?
Draper.
Draper's the runner-up.
He was my runner-up. Yeah.
Mateo's still there for you, or is it someone else?
No, always. Like
Always.
he's a constant.
Okay.
Constant.
Well, Draper also played well.
Right. I heard.
Drilled Rune, flipping years and years of conversations on their head. Sophie just going after him.
I'm sweating.
Rune 2-2, Alcaraz 6-1-0, 6-6-4. Shelton, I think it was like 4-5. Fritz was 5-3. Brooksby was 5-4. Fonseca, I think, was 4-0. First round, also, that's not an easy draw for him to get through. Two things that I hate to say criticisms because it's more just an observation of what people can get better at. His fitness, I think, up until even 9 months ago, was suspect. There were a lot of injuries. There were points in matches, even the U.S. Open, where he vomited and then he vomited. In the backhand was okay, and it was a place where you could get out of jail, right? And this is coming from someone whose backhand you could get out of jail on. He now doesn't really hit it line, but he now takes rips to the biggest parts of the court, where at least you kind of have to take a step back. And if you leave that one hanging, then he's turning it. The RPMs he's getting on his forehand, I mean, it wasn't, we think of like, okay, lefty, he can come in. He stands way back in Rafa territory to return, and he is creating so much height on his forehand. It's not this flat thing. He either goes massive toppy Magoo, or he kind of sends it full through the court. But he was like winning a Masters 1000 final 2-2 against someone who's, Rune has been playing. He played well this week. What were your takeaways when watching Draper? Kim, not Sophie. Sophie, we got where her head's at.
Bone structure, insane.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I love watching him play. I also feel like the serve is really suited.
It did.
Yeah. I felt like a little bit more than maybe Rune. But yeah, that forehand really popped on that surface.
I think the one, and I'm curious, I think the return that I hated the most was when you got up against one of these lefties and they could throw in this nasty kick out to your forehand.
To the forehand, to me, it was my backhand.
No.
He's like up here. Like,
backhand didn't bother me because I didn't take a swing, so I could just try to knock it down and live to fight another day. But like I think of like the Wayne Arthurs or like these guys who would just flip it, that slow little one that would tumble that way. Rune, he hit 3 to Rune in the first 2 games, and Rune wasn't close. Like, because you kind of have to shade backhand to protect the one that you're talking about. His kind of ability to pitch a good ball game on the second serve. He won. I think he broke 50% on second serve points won against Alcaraz on that surface where Alcaraz can drift back and create spin and speed. He was defending that and kind of pitching a good ball game.
But what would you like? What would you prefer? Would you prefer to stand back a little bit further and hit the forehand there, or would you try to keep it?
Against Draper?
Yeah, or against Wayne Arthurs, like you mentioned.
Arthurs would have been coming in, so that would have been a different scenario. Against Draper, I don't know that on the deuce side for sure, I think I have to go back, because I think even if he gets me on that forehand side, at least I can try to create some space.
And then what's your goal with the return? Is it like, are you looking for depth? Are you trying to go straight to the middle? Are you looking for angles? Like, what is
on the backhand side? I would have wanted to hit it like flat, like barely over the net, to where at least he's having to hit up for me, and it's not up above his waist level where he's bullying me at all. The forehand, I would try to hit that like really high, deep one to his backhand. Even if he gets a forehand, hopefully he's he's not set and ripping. And then the next ball, I would try to like somehow chip it inside out and find his backhand side somewhere, somehow. But his forehand, once he got control of it, I'm not let's calm I'm not saying he's Rafa when he gets a forehand, but the association was similar when it was a sitting ball and he had a slow one. It was really, really, really difficult for these guys to wrestle control back, right? If he got one sitting in the middle, he was just creating it was so heavy and hitting it both ways to where even like a Taylor Fritz was having a hard time stepping in and like reestablishing himself in the rallies.
And you're saying that like he didn't have that before, like a while ago? Or,
I don't remember his forehand. I remember it being flat and kind of like it was imposing, but he would miss a bunch. And I feel like now he's able to play aggressive without having to ramp up, the irresponsibility of when he's going for it. And I'll be curious to see, obviously on grass, is that heavy ball going to work? I don't know. On faster hard courts, is that heavy ball going to work? I don't know. But to your point, that product market fit with that Indian Wells court where it's gritty and he was able to create those RPMs up and away. I mean, he was just, Rune looked like it's, when you're in juniors and you're kind of bigger and stronger than someone, you overpower them. The first 3 games, it was like Rune didn't do anything really wrong and he just got the racket taken out of his hands. It was, I thought it was pretty impressive, and like the leftiness and when he was serving and the fitness and the backhand were average or maybe below tour average within the last 16 to 18 months. The US Open was really good for him, but then he had to pay the bill with humidity and the center of things. But he has the ability to roll people now. Like it used to be, he's going to hold a lot. He has a really good serve, but he's putting up like Kim Clijsters numbers on people where it's like 2-2, 4-0 against Fonseca, who, oh, by the way, went and won a 175 challenger right after he lost to Draper, which I think is also impressive. But
that's where I love like how I think our tennis brains, like I would love to know like what triggered that. Like was it him that realized like, okay, against these guys, like I want to be able to hit the ball heavy. I feel like I'm always kind of on the back foot. Like I don't have the strength to do it. And so is it his coach? Like that, those are the conversations that I would love to, or be on court and listen to their coaches talk and like when that process started, when they started to change.
One of the things that I think is really interesting is if your fitness and your movement is okay and you're not super confident in it, you are less likely to bully and have something that takes 3 or 4 shots, right? I think his forehand is now set up by the fact that he can actually play that little jab backhand defensively. So even if he's out of position or someone pulls him there, he can play that heavy one and not be scared to play defense on the next ball. So all of those things, to your point, there's like a waterfall effect where your backhand gets better, you're half a step faster, you can all of a sudden play defense on the backhand side. And if you have a ball that you can step in on, you can, you're not hitting winners, but you're driving it middle or you're driving it cross court, you can at least pin the person. All of those things allow you to do different things on the court, right? The more you improve one subset of skill, the more options you have as far as strategy. And it seems like he's improved all of these things, the backhand, the fitness, the second serve, when to serve, how to serve. If someone's standing in like Fritz, you're going to kick it into his body on the left-hand side. If someone's going back, kick him off the court, create space. All of those little things mixed
and then
together.
The confidence builds. Too,
correct.
Right?
And then all of a sudden you're staring down the barrel of a 2-2 win in a Masters 1000. But I don't think it's just like he decides to hit his forehand. I mean, I'm sure he gets to Indian Wells and goes, oh, this thing is hopping. Like this is, I'm sure it was in practice. He's going, this is a problem for João Fonseca first round. This is not going to be great.
Do you have anything to add, Sophie?
What do you think about
Bone structure.
Great stuff.
Insane.